Did you ever ask why? Why we toppled all those dictators, undermined all those regimes?
Hello and welcome to Kill James Bond. I am Alice Caldwell-Kelly. Joining me are Devon, Abby Thorne, and Mattie Lubchansky. I fucked that up. I'll go again. I said I did a glossal stop in the middle of your name. I was like, Matt.
Have you not? Yeah, that's why the exclamation point is there.
Yeah, join us, Mattie Lubchansky.
Thanks, Nate. Or possibly also Devon.
Can we start the podcast with the 3, 2, 1? Because that's also a cool way to start a podcast. And we can do a callback to it later. I think it's a better drop.
Well, we just cut this middle bit out.
Make some of this into a cold open for me. Cheers! It's the free one.
It's the free one. Hello and welcome. Fuck you. Cunts. Fucking cunts.
What? That was to Nate.
All right. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna start the podcast right now. Hello and welcome to Kill James Bond. I am Alice Caldwell-Kelly. Joining me are Devon, Abigail Thorne, and special guest Mattie Lubchansky. Mattie, how's it going?
I'm doing great, and I'm ready to talk about this golden eye.
A golden eye. Bury me with my golden eye.
It is 1995, baby.
That's right.
Nostalgia time. I am a small child. I am sitting on the sofa. I am asking my mother what that woman in the video is doing, and she is refusing to tell me.
I am a glint in my father's eye at this point.
To be fair, I was 2 years old in 1995. I'm talking about when I watched it later on VHS.
I'm the oldest of you. I was 4 when this movie came out, but I also would later see it on VHS. It was the first Bond movie that I saw.
Mm-hmm. Same.
And yeah, absolutely. This is like in my head as Bond movie. This is what a Bond movie is.
I would just like to state for the record that I was 9 or 10 when this came out.
Hell yeah.
So...
This is after a 6-year gap in Bond movies. We've had damn near a decade since License to Kill, the Bond movie that wasn't a Bond movie. And everybody thought that Dalton was going to come back, and he just didn't, because never let them make you do a third movie, I guess. And so this script was written for Dalton, the script for Goldeneye, but instead they got Pierce Brosnan. And did they ever get Pierce Brosnan?
The Dalton's Dalton.
Yes, Dalton squared.
Mm-hmm.
He's so Welsh, he's crossed back around again, and he's not Welsh anymore. Every single pocket filled with maggots.
He's Irish.
I can't stop thinking about the pocket maggots. This is going to be a real problem for me.
I'm still on the fucking pocket maggots. Yes. If you haven't listened to the License to Kill episode, go back and do that now. We'll wait. But
Pierce Brosnan's Irish, but unlike previous Bonds from other countries, he can actually do a perfect English accent.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess we should start off by saying, like, by 1995, pacing and editing and having a good movie are all things that have been invented.
Also, computers. They've invented the shit out of computers.
Yeah, and so like
this thing. It tells us, actually, there's like one of the facts that comes up on Amazon is like, this is the first Bond movie to use CGI.
Yeah.
My God, do they want to use CGI for most things?
Right. But we start with pacing. James Bond 007 runs out of the popular video game Goldeneye 007 onto the Arkhangelsk Dam in the Soviet Union. Bungee jumps off that dam in like the second shot. And already I'm like hooting and hollering. We're like seconds into this movie and I'm like, yes, we're fucking going. He like pulls himself down the dam and then immediately into the men's bathroom at the base of that dam.
James Bond bathroom cop.
Well, that's where the bathroom is, right? It goes directly into the dam.
James Bond bathroom intruder. There's genuinely, I'd forgotten how bathroom intruder this sequence is, right? Because like the way they're playing it is they kind of hype it up as like Bond is this like dangerous, faintly sort of monstrous presence, right? And so there's legitimately a shot where Bond, his face in shadows, emerges from a vent above a Soviet soldier taking a shit.
He just needed to inspect that soldier's gender. This is the law. But then they put a nice twist in it, because having built him up as like quite sinister and like shady, he then has this like charming line as the soldier realizes he's there and he goes, "I'm awfully sorry, I forgot to knock," and knocks him out.
Yeah, in the perfect English accent. It's great. And then he like exits the room. He opens the door to the bathroom, and then he does this thing, right? And this is going to be, I'm going to put this up front now. This is the thing that I notice most about Brosnan, is the door opening, right? It's a weird thing to be distinctive, but it really is. Once you've noticed that he opens doors weird, you'll notice that he does it every time. And so, like, he opens this door, right? It's a relatively simple shot. He's got to, like, open the door, point the gun around, and then walk across the shot, right? But the way he does this is fully, like, the thing I was talking about previously about how Bond enters a room, then spends 5 or 6 seconds locked in a "I have entered this room." He like slams the door open, points the Walther PPK at like 2 instances of nothing, and then just sort of like stands there with his hand up. And then just like moves
fully,
from cover
like,
to cover like this.
Not even hiding next to a door. He just opens the door, stands in the open doorway, silhouetted perfectly, and just like holds that position for.
But the thing is,
like
it's kind of a like cart and horse thing for me, right? Because I don't know if he's moving like a child would move if they were pretending to be James Bond, or if that's just how like. When I grew up, that's how kids pretended to be James Bond, because that's what Pierce Brosnan did.
Now, I'll say, could this be a leftover from the faithful adaptation of the video game they're doing that this movie is?
Oh, yes, that's true.
He enables DK mode and his head gets really big.
My notes here say I really, really like Pierce Brosnan's physical acting. I think as a physical performance, I think he fucking nails James Bond, especially in this opening scene where he is moving in such a way as to be silent. He's like trying to be quiet. He is sneaking, but at the same time, he shows us so much about the character and that he's so upright and disciplined. Like, I think he does a fucking incredible performance in this opening scene, weird doors or not.
Maybe it's age, right? Because like it's definitely become sort of a point of like faint parody. Like in his sort of like quiet audition for Bond and Layer Cake, one of the things that Daniel Craig does is he gets his hands on a silenced pistol and he does the sort of like Pierce Brosnan as Bond moving thing, like the holding the pistol upwards and like sort of moving from corner to corner. Yeah. So maybe that's just like that's his like mark on the character. That's what's distinctive here. But anyway, having intruded upon the bathroom, Bond infiltrates this Soviet chemical weapons facility, and there's danger on every side, and he's moving very stealthily. And he gets stuck in a storeroom, and out of the shadows, a guy points a gun in his face, and it's fucking Sean Bean, 006, also doing
baby.
an accent.
Baby. My notes when I first saw Pierce Brosnan says, "There he is," and then my notes 2 seconds later when I first saw Sean Bean says, "There he is."
There he is, and he's doing this sort of like like faintly posh accent. There's like. He has what is admittedly a frankly baffling line in this scene, which is
half of everything is luck, James. And the other half? Fate.
Which was...
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the hell that means.
Fate. Fate's in a fully different accent to half of everything is luck, James. But
yeah, and the other
what
half...
the fuck are you talking about, Alec?
I love becoming so lucky I outwit fate. That makes sense. Luck and fate, the two opposing diametric forces.
Yeah.
Pressing on us at all times.
So 006 and 007, James Bond and Alec Trevelyan, who is being played by Sean Bean and his 2 accents.
I very nearly changed my surname to Trevelyan when I became an actor because I just think it's such a fucking cool name.
It's a cool name.
Good. It's really good.
Absolutely. And like Alec Trevelyan, only time the name Alec has ever been cool, I think.
Very nearly changed it to Alec as well the first time I changed it. Fucking rules.
You just were going to name yourself Alec Trevelyan.
Yeah.
It was on the list.
Wearing a lot of like black.
Hell yes.
So Bond and Trevelyan primarily communicate in quips. which is like really fucking annoying. Actually, they like set the charges on a bunch of chemical weapon tanks. Trevelyan gives him the weird line about luck and fate, and then the alarms go off, which is what we heard in the clip, right? And the Soviet soldiers rush in, and you're just like, please fucking shoot these guys. They're doing bits now. Genuinely.
Trevelyan's
Soviets-
doing a silly voice, like somebody's pretending to be
Soviet soldiers
Italian.
go-
Like, Pierce
It's just
Brosnan's
like
got a little thing, he's playing drops on it.
Well, Sean Bean answers the question, what if a Russian was English was a Russian? I think is what he's doing.
Alec and Bond's interactions were written by a man who has never had a friend and thinks this is how friends communicate.
You just do bits to each other all the time, which, to be fair, is our friendship.
Attack and receive. But the Soviet soldiers get locked out, and then my notes here just say me and the boys going ape shit on some glass because like they all stand in a row and shoot their way through some bulletproof glass in like a 5-second long shot.
Oh yeah, it's
Really
great,
old.
Fantastic.
So good.
So Bond plants some explosives and he sets the time for 6 seconds. But then the leader of the Soviet soldiers, 6 minutes.
God, that'd be a fast movie.
Yes, a 6-second fucking countdown. Bond suicide bombs
"Shit!"
the chemical weapon
His last words
facility.
are, "Oh fuck!"
Why would
Panicked, he desperately tosses a fistful of maggots at the bomb. Shit!
No, that's when you have to reload the level and start again. So yeah, he sets the timer
Bond
for 6
reloads
minutes.
the level,
Sets the
the
timer for
timer
6 minutes. And then Alec has been captured by General Urumov.
Yeah, Colonel Oromov at this
Oh,
point.
excuse me.
Yeah, he's like a young
I love a woman
Oromov,
who
but,
enjoys
like,
pulling rank.
Did you see the fucking stance that Oromov was stood in?
Oh yeah,
His
one
Bond
hand
steps
on the
up-
hip, one hand on the Makarov.
Yeah.
Absolute
His
king shit.
Slightly bent knees. He's in a perfect I'm a little teapot shooting position, holding Alec Trevelyan at
Now,
gunpoint.
what's funny is that he's also not coded as gay. If anything, he's coded as being like a Nazi. He's got a weirdly German accent for a
Yeah.
Russian.
Yeah.
And his whole bit is kind of like, Hinterhoch Amerikaner, for you the war is over, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mentioned this before. All the Soviets in this movie, all the Russians in general, are just the commie Nazis from that one McBain movie.
yeah,
They're
absolutely.
just like, Soviet Union's over. So
Yeah, top secret.
Yeah, exactly.
He does have a Nazi ass accent. So Trevelyan is like at gunpoint. Bond bumps the charges up to 3 minutes, right? And then Trevelyan just gets fucking shot as Bond tries to surrender.
We get this little line where he says, "For England, James," and gets shot, because earlier on they had a little exchange where Trevelyan goes, "For England, James,"
Which is a weird thing to say. It's a weird.
yeah, and James is
it's-
like, "Yes,
it's a-
for England." Like, yeah, it's odd.
Yes, me, an Irish man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Trevelyan gets shot, and then Bond plays chicken with a bunch of drums of, like, nerve gas.
Mm-hmm.
The most
And there's
important note first is that he sets the timer for 3 minutes now.
Yes.
Moves
Yeah.
it down by 3.
Yes. And then he's sort of, like, moving this trolley of chemical weapons.
Very
as-
slowly.
Yeah, very, very. It's got a creaky wheel. They really milk this bit.
He's moving like a man who has more than 3 minutes to spare.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
they can't shoot him, because if they shoot, they'll blow the gas tanks up. And one of
Yeah.
the Soviet soldiers does actually let off. He does an ND, a negligent discharge, and he fires around. And Urumov turns around and just shoots this motherfucker dead.
Oh, yeah.
With the same gun that he shot Trevelyan with. I am gonna bring this up later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great
Yeah.
that's a great point actually. So like, there's an interesting bit of physical comedy here where Bond sort of like runs out of room and he bumps up against a conveyor belt, and Oromov is like, "Gotcha." So, but Bond of course always has something up his sleeve. So he activates the conveyor belt, leaps onto it, kills a bunch of guys with an AK, which sets up a lot like. This is kind of a recurring theme in this movie. Bond shoots a lot of guys dead.
Bond straight up kills a lot of people.
Unusually high kill count.
Yeah, this is part of what the fucking unprovoked violence category was sort of in preparation for.
Yeah.
It's just how many people Pierce Brosnan goes apeshit on.
I mean, they were shooting at him, but he also kills a lot of people in the escaping anywhere.
Yeah, I was trying to think whether we'd seen Bond with an AK before, and we have once. It's in fucking Octopussy of all things, where Roger Moore slides down a banister and kills 2 guys with one. But that's nothing. Bond goes through dozens of goons here. Anyway, there's he escapes onto an airstrip. There's a small plane, like a Cessna, taking off. He chases it down, has to get into it in midair after he and it go over the edge of the cliff the runway is on. And then sort of pulls it out of a terminal dive, right? There's this weird shot where he's jiggling the stick as if it's gonna do something.
Jam doesn't matter now.
Yeah, but Bond cranks off a plane to completion.
It activates the wiggler. I actually went to engineering school, so I could tell you. Yeah, you activate the wiggler in a plane, and it reverses the direction it's going.
Yeah, the wiggled becomes the wiggler at last, Mr. Bond.
And the plant blows up.
He escapes from the plane, the plant blows up, and we get the opening credits, which, banger alert.
Incredible.
The opening credits have this. First of all, they've invented computer graphics. The opening credits have this truly strong theme of the collapse of the Soviet Union. I was nearly crying by the end of it.
It's hauntological as fuck.
If I list some of the imagery here, you're going to start thinking I'm lying to you. But we have statues of Lenin collapsing. We've got a hammer and a sickle that fall to the ground and crack apart. And then the funniest one is right at the end. We have hot women wearing stiletto heels hitting crumbling statues of Stalin with sledgehammers.
Yes.
Yeah, because this movie has fucking themes. It actually has artistic... They're actually really trying to say something with this film, and we'll get to what they're trying to say later on.
It's the best written Bond film we've
they're
yet
actually
seen.
Trying to make an artistic statement with a James Bond film. It's
the
unbelievable.
Best script we've yet seen. However, this is hauntology, right? But it's not hauntology in the typical way where we're we missed the Soviet Union, we're sad communists. No, this is hauntology for pre-9/11 end of history shit. This is a movie that's written for after the final victory of liberal democracy, right? And as such, there are more than a few lines in here which are now hysterically funny. We'll get to those. So we're back in, right? The theme song to Banger, the opening credits are great. And then we're with Bond, who is on vacation in Monte Carlo, driving on a mountain road with
an Aston Martin DB5.
An Aston Martin DB5 with an MI6 psychiatrist who has been sent to evaluate him because they finally worked out that this man is a psychopath and should not be employed by anyone, least of all MI6. And she's this kind of rather prim but still attractive sort of uptight woman, right? And you get... I have so much to say about this scene. I have a page of notes about this.
He calls her dear, which is it's a bit Roger Moorish.
My first note here is James is an absolute shit.
He's a cunt to women.
New.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what happens is we get a sort of a Virgin versus Chad thing, right? Because as she's talking, Famke Janssen, the most trans cis woman who has ever...
Famke Transition Goals Janssen.
Yeah, looking incredible, driving a red Ferrari 355, pulls alongside and simply invites James to race. Now, there's a lot going on here, right? Because there's a race scene, right? And throughout it, the psychiatrist, whose name is Caroline, although I don't think that's actually stated, makes kind of what I can only describe as wibbly noises.
She makes English woman noises. This woman is now a TERF, absolutely 110%.
Yeah, but Bond does something daring, and she makes a noise I have a drop. Literally,
becoming the wibbler.
She starts to sound a bit like a Muppet, but what's interesting is
Kermit next to her just flailing around with her arms going.
There are two kinds of women, right? In this scene, sexy and annoying, and the annoying ones try to use psychology on you, and
No,
say
thank
things like, isn't it interesting that you're driving around in this fast car, right?
I know what you're doing.
Really? What's that, dear?
You are just trying to show off the size of your
Engine?
ego.
Or there's sexy, and sexy is defined in sort of in Xenia's terms as, you know, she looks incredible, but she's like wearing a sort of low cut top and a scarf and everything. She's driving a fast car, and yeah, no, it's fucking weird, right?
Really well
And of
shot
course-
though. This whole car race sequence is
And
like,
of course, at its core, right, there is the ultimate boomer fantasy, which is a fucking car made in the 60s keeping pace with a modern Ferrari.
yeah.
And that's like a synecdoche for Bond as a whole, to me, is like trying to make this, like, all the time they try and sell him as like a man out of time or whatever, and we'll get into how that's kind of having your cake and eating it, but it's like trying to propel this product of 60s Britain and having it try and like keep pace with modernity and even exceed it. And it gets more and more of a reach, and it gets more and more pathetic.
Well, Xenia does win. He lets Xenia go eventually because they stop and they pull over so that Bond can shag the psychiatrist. And it's quite nice that she does sell it, that she's actually kind of secretly really into him, because as he's like putting the moves on her, she closes her eyes and goes in for the kiss, and Bond pulls back to get in one more line. So he is kind of like reeling her in, but she does. It's not like, whereas Connery would just like grab this woman and possibly done some sort of crime. She is very clearly like extremely into this whole thing.
3 minutes 22 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, I timed it too.
Yeah. What's interesting about this sex scene, right, is that he does fuck her out of existence. Like, he fucks her out of the movie. She's
out
gone.
of here.
She goes off one of those cliffs. She's gone.
This scene, right, the fact that this comes back after a fucking break implies a couple of things to me. And that implies that they wrote this scene sort of as like a, don't worry, he's still Bond. So he does all of the Bond things compressed down into one scene. He quips, he's rude to women, but then he has sex with them, and he drives a fast car. It's like, this is the most concentrated Bond they've ever come up with.
I guess there's probably be a few people in the audience who'd never seen a Bond film before, because they were like 12 when the last one came out. So
6
this scene
years.
like really tells you, like, this is who James Bond is. This is what he does. He's a spy. He drives cars. He fucks. That's it.
And what's
I hate
another
that
thing about
motherfucker
Bond?
so much.
He gambles.
He gambles. And so immediately, having fucked this woman off the earth, he then goes to a casino in Monte Carlo. I don't know where the fuck she's supposed to be, because he drove there, right?
She's
and
gone.
she's
She's
not
out
in
of
the car. She's just fucking gone.
She's dead.
And-
She's in pieces at the bottom of a ravine. He Ted Bundy'd her.
Yeah. And then
That's it.
we get this fascinating seduction scene, because he sees the Ferrari outside, and then he sees the same woman, Xenia, and her surname is Onatopp, right? Like,
Xenia Sergeyevna Onatopp.
They
Onatopp.
tried to slip that one through by putting the Zagayev in the middle.
Bond
Onatopp?
loves it when she says that. He's got this
Onatopp.
line like really? It's so cool.
Onatopp?
Spectre?
Onatopp.
Now, here's
Spectre.
where I step in for my hauntology thing. Bond, I mean, they've lost sight of the original Bond. He's no longer playing Shamandafer. He's playing Baccarat.
I know.
I'm like, come on, give me
What's
the
ri-
Shamandafer. Give me the
I have
biggest game of
several
chance possible.
several notes here.
skill.
One of which is that Famke Janssen here is literally doing Abby's Bond girl voice. She's like sexy Russian, but slightly high pitched.
I know.
Which is
'Cause, yeah.
fucking great. Yeah. The other thing is, like,
Did you pick this up as well? I think you've got the same thing I'd have. Go on.
Famke's fucking trans as hell. Dude.
She is!
Like,
She's
not
so
textually, but the first thing that Bond does is clock something about her as counterfeit.
Yeah.
He sits down at this table and he's like, hey, you know, even the fake Ferraris for this year have this license plate.
Yeah,
and
like,
she just kind of smiles at him like, you got me. You found out about my secret.
but also, like, Bond orders a vodka martini, which, listeners, if you don't know, is an extremely strong drink. And Xenia says, I'll have the same. And also, as they're having this little conversation about the Ferrari, she's the same height as Bond, and she is holding
smoking a
big
cigar.
And
Yes. Oh, that's what I meant.
This
Okay.
scene reads like Bond has clocked her and gone, hey, like, by the way, you're bulge, you come untucked, and she's gone, I don't give a fuck. Like,
She's like his line to her is genuinely. We share 3 interests. She's like, I count 2, gambling and cars. And I genuinely expected for a second the third one was going to be women, right? Like,
I mean, I literally, when talking to cis friends, and I accidentally say something around them I'm not supposed to, I will absolutely use Famke Janssen as my, like, synecdoche example of what clocky the word means. I'm just like, look at her and the feeling you're feeling. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
what, lust?
This is good.
Yeah, well, that too. Listen.
Jealousy, lust, gender dysphoria.
Yes. Well, I mean, for cis
the big
people,
three.
folks,
The big three, I
the
call
big
them.
three. The 3 interests that I share with everybody.
We share 3 things in common:
Gender dysphoria.
lust, jealousy, and gender dysphoria.
This is me versus the entire rest of the host because I feel nothing for Xenia Onatopp.
Get out.
But I do have a note in my... Okay, sorry. See you later. It's been nice. Welcome to the new third host of a show, Mattie Lubchansky. Shit, I have to draw. That means fuck. So one of my notes says smoking big doinks at Monaco, and I've been trying to figure out what the fuck that meant for so long.
You mean that Famke Janssen was essentially looking like the dude doing the smoking big doinks in Amish country vine?
Yeah, 100%.
is what
like,
you mean.
When she had the big cigar and Bond commented on
cigar.
it. That's what I meant. What the fuck am I talking about?
Genuinely, all of the things that make Xenia Onatopp sexually interesting to Bond, interesting to the viewer, and also dangerous are masculine traits, right? One of which is sexual dominance.
Enjoying sex, which I don't think is a thing men actually do.
I don't think these are masculine traits. Like,
Let's say masculine coded.
I really, really like Xenia as a character. I like that she's kind of clocky. It actually makes me feel like good. I'm like, she has these features and looks great. And by the way, listeners, when we say that she's clocky and when we say that she's trans, like if you are cis, you might, on some level, perceive that as an insult. When we say that she's like clocky and she looks trans, we absolutely mean that as a compliment because she looks incredible, and
amazing.
so do we.
Because it rips, yeah.
So, but
it's certainly a trans feminine thing. But there's also one other point, which is one of the extras in this scene is the daughter of the actress who played Sylvia Trench in the scene that this is somewhat aping from Dr. No.
That's cute.
Sylvia Trench, who disappeared after the second movie. Damn shit.
Yeah, because Bond fucked her out of existence again. Yeah. But, like, genuinely, though, I think all of the traits that, like, she's, like, sexually dominant, she's sadistic, she likes cars, she likes smoking cigars even, she likes gambling. These are all things that we see more associated with men in the series and more associated with Bond, even.
She also fucked somebody out of existence.
She fucked somebody out of existence because she, she kind of loses interest in Bond. Like, they banter for a little bit, and then she's like, "Yeah, I found this admiral, and I'm gonna fuck this guy instead."
Yeah, because Bond says that he's a fucking commander, and she goes, "This guy's an admiral," and then leaves with him instead, which I did appreciate a great deal.
Oh yeah, Canadian admiral. So Bond like follows her for a bit and like takes pictures of them to get IDs. But then
why don't you use the identigraph?
Why don't you use the identigraph?
Why don't you use the identigraph?
And we learned from Moneypenny on the radio that Xenia is an ex-pilot and she works for a crime syndicate in Russia called Janus.
That's right. And so Xenia takes this admiral back to her yacht, where we have the first explicit sex scene in like the whole franchise. Like,
it was explicit. I will say way more than I was expecting.
The lesson here is like breath play is a risky sexual activity. You should have a safe word. You should know what you're doing first. You should have some kind of first aid plan prepared because she chokes this guy to death with her thighs.
Chokes him around the midsection with her thighs.
Oh yeah,
which is really impressive.
She's quite
like
impressive.
Squeezes him like a tub of toothpaste. Yeah,
like normally you think
his
you're gonna
eyes
go for the
pop
neck.
out like one of them fucking things.
And she really sells sexually sadistic here. By the way, it's fucking great. Love that shit.
Yeah, she is feral in this movie.
She does a lot of
said.
biting and scratching, which my notes here just say Xenia fucks like I do. That might be TMI for you listeners, but like, yeah, I don't kill people.
It's nothing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
trying desperately to get the podcast on track.
Want to be clear here. I would say, frankly, that he does have a safe word. She just ignores it.
That's true. It is a murder is the main thing about it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that in for the listeners. You know,
it's extremely
don't rush into breath play thinking
some Gatorade afterwards.
It's cool because we saw the trans lady from Goldeneye do it, and then those other nice trans ladies said it was cool.
Thanks for liking and subscribing. This is 10 months on E. I finally killed a man with my thighs.
What's interesting is first female orgasm in the series, and it's from murder. There's your fucking like sex and violence getting linked. Huge fan of that. Anyway, so the next morning, James breaks into the yacht, and we have an all-time classic door opening.
Yeah, this was the first time I noticed that he has a door thing.
24 minutes
door like
in,
a nonce.
he opens like a sliding door, but he opens it like a GTA 3 character.
Genuinely looks like his animation resets from walking to opening door. When he walks over
to the door, stops, and like throws one shoulder all the way over to the handle and hurls that door open.
He opens the door on slappers only, I believe is what he's doing.
Truly.
He also towel whips a boy. This kid
towel
attacks him with a
whips a
mop.
boy.
Bond fucking takes him out.
This is a horny movie, but Bond towel whips a boy. Meanwhile, across the harbor, there's a French Navy frigate that is demonstrating a new helicopter, the Tiger, that is being sold as like impervious to all forms of electronic interference. And so as Bond is piecing together what's going on, we see Xenia and an unseen accomplice who is impersonating this Canadian admiral infiltrate this frigate, kill the pilots who are about to take command of this helicopter, and get in it themselves. And Bond opens the wardrobe back in Xenia's yacht, finds the guy dead with a massive smile on his face, which is a nice touch. Realizes what's going on and is there just in time to be stopped by the French Navy.
Bond makes an extremely smart decision here, which is he doesn't say a single fucking word at all to anyone. He's trying to get him to stop the plane, stop the helicopter, but essentially via psychic powers. He just sort of runs over to him, and then they stop him, and he just watches, kind of crestfallen, but a bit angry.
There wasn't anything in his conversation tree that was helpful, so he just skipped it.
Yeah, Bond's conversation options just show up.
Have you heard of the High Elves?
I should go.
Oh, fuck.
But Xenia steals the helicopter with the simple expedient of simply taking off and flying away. And then all the people are like, oh, yeah, it works.
Incredible.
Where are you going with that?
Perfect helicopter.
Yeah.
All right. Second level of the video game Goldeneye. We are at the Severnaya weapons facility in Siberia.
A second Alan Cumming has struck the Kill James Bond podcast.
Yes, as part of a sort of general program that all Russians are Scottish until proven otherwise, that this movie adopts. Alan Cumming is playing a Russian computer hacker called Boris Grishenko.
Fuck Boris.
Who is Yeah.
Newman in Jurassic Park. He's got the Hawaiian shirt and everything.
Yeah. And he's kind of a sex pest to his female co-workers, which, here's the thing, right? This is the first bit of like weird memory to me. Is that like I remembered Boris's weirdness as being less affectionate. Like I thought he would be like. He makes kind of like overt sexual innuendos to women, right? Especially to Natalia, the woman who like works next to him, right? He locks her computer and the password is like boobs or something. I remembered this, right, as he does this shit and everybody looks at him like, ugh. But instead it's a lot more affectionate. And
no, they like him.
On Natalia's part, at least. We see Anna, her like co-worker is like this fucking asshole, but
yeah,
Natalia's almost like,
she says he wouldn't know a woman if one came up and sat on his face, but like she says it in jest, right? Like this is good nature. It's banter, which is, I mean, not to crib a drop from further in the movie, but
this sort of behavior could qualify as sexual harassment.
Listen, I'm going to get a lot of use out of that one in future episodes, so it's just I may as well just like set that up now.
But Boris logs on. He works in a Russian troll farm. He's convincing the Americans to elect Cheeto. He trolls the FBI's and like then manages to get away with it.
Yes, he does. Like
better luck next time, slugheads.
Again, he's not doing a Russian accent. That's just slightly more Scottish, Alan.
There's a part of the movie, very late in the movie, where Cumming does simply give up on his accent, and it just is
completely
gone. It's just like the very final, like during the showdown at the end, like he's just doing Alan Cumming at that point.
So they
must have filmed the movie in order.
A slightly older Colonel, now General Oromov, arrives with Xenia in the helicopter, and at this point in the movie, I enter crisis mode. I'm still in crisis mode. I
see.
You see, the thing is, right, Dev, you know how you bought a terry cloth romper suit because
Thank you for saying bought instead of commissioned someone on Etsy to make one to my exact proportions.
You had made to order.
Really saved me there.
Yeah, a blue terry cloth romper suit, much like James Bond wears in the movie
From
Goldfinger.
Volcano Designs on Etsy.
Now, I've written down
I get
here.
nothing from that. I just like them.
Now, I handwrite my notes, longhand, right? So you have to imagine this is the equivalent of 72-point font, bold, underlined. And I've written here with 3 separate emphases on different words. Where do I get Xenia's fucking jacket?
So good.
It's like this sort of like, it's sort of Soviet uniform, but it's leather and it like has slanted buttons and a wraparound collar and epaulets, and the epaulets have fucking stars on them. Where do I get the jacket? Where do I get the jacket? Give me the jacket. Make the jacket for me.
I was looking at the IMDb while I was watching, and I was like, and the costume designer is Alice Caldwell Kelly? How is that possible?
Yeah, everybody gets like inflated in rank by 1 each scene.
Dev is brandishing the squirt bottle every time Xenia opens.
No, this scene put me in crisis mode, right? Genuinely, because the way that she fucking looks, she's got a hat with the
She's got a hat.
They kill everyone and they steal the codes.
They kill everyone.
Except for...
She's wearing a hat the whole time.
They kill everyone. They steal the codes. Xenia has several orgasms while shooting people to death.
It's a great moment where she's very physically turned on by murdering people, and then Urumov looks at her like, "The fuck are you
this
doing?"
bitch is crazy.
Yeah,
it's great.
There's so many close-ups of her in this movie, like snarling like an animal.
Oh yeah, it rules. So like they set this weapon that the 7-Eye facility controls, the Goldeneye satellite, to target the facility itself. Xenia murders everybody except Boris, who we have seen go out for a cigarette and then not come back, and Natalia, who is hiding in the break room when Xenia murders everybody. At this point, we now, 30 minutes into the movie, finally get the Bond, what do you know about X scene. The Bond, you have to go to next location scene. The MI6 scene.
We get a line that I'm going to yell about for about 15 minutes. So enjoy the rest of this description.
Yes. Okay, so first of all, new year, new me. We're not in fucking Whitehall anymore. We're at the new MI6 building in Vauxhall Cross, which they like show on screen. There's a situation room and shit. There's like Moneypenny is wearing a cocktail dress and Bond tries to flirt with her and she kind of shoots him down in a like weirder, horny way. And that's when she says,
You know, this sort of behavior could qualify as sexual harassment.
Holy shit, wait, I'm sorry. I need to drag us back.
Yes.
I need to drag us back to fucking Boris.
Boris,
Part of how it's Boris, the Scottish man. He fucking hacks into the FBI.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
Slugheads.
When he does so, he sends them an image that includes a caricature of his actual human face.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like,
well, like his opening
What?
move to like sexually harass Natalia, right, is to lock her computer with a picture of her wearing a bikini that presumably he has either drawn himself or had commissioned.
he's a remarkably talented pixel artist.
He's a remarkable man, is Boris.
Well, I think this movie is very interesting because, to me at least, compared to older Bond movies, because it is very like a 90s action movie and is very much like has contemporaries that are not Bond movies at all.
Yeah.
And this is like a real 90s action movie trope in American movies, at least, where there's always a hacker who's wearing a Hawaiian shirt who loves to put photos of himself sending to other people. And it's just like they just like stole it wholesale from other shit.
So yeah.
But anyway, back at MI6, they've found the tiger.
Bond sexually harasses Moneypenny on the way in, but the way he's like, she tells him that's sexual harassment, and he goes, "Well, what's the punishment for that?" And she says, "Oh, you have to fuck me." Essentially, she says, "Someday you have to make good on your innuendos." And I'm just like,
It's very much like, hey Jerry, it's the 90s, and then going straight back to the old shit.
Yeah. That's a pattern for this movie.
Cake and eating it too. That's all this movie has to
having
do.
your cake and eating it. You notice that the thing has changed, and then you say, "Isn't that funny?" And then you just ignore it. So with that in mind, like they find the tiger at Seven Night, right, on satellite. And as they're watching this, Tanner, the deputy director or whatever, like one of Bond's bosses, is like briefing him, and he's like, "Well, at least that evil bitch cunt woman isn't here, right?"
Oh, women, am I right? Uh-oh, she's right behind
women. Me. Actually, what's interesting is there's an angle here to M. Female M, Judi Dench M. You know who M is. It's Judi Dench. She bossed this role for like a decade and a half. You know who
to be fair, she obliterated this role. There's two M's in my eyes.
Part of the reason why she obliterated this role, or like part of the evidence of the extent to which she obliterated it, right, is there's an angle to M that we never see again in a subsequent like movie with Judi Dench's M in it, which is she's sort of an analyst, and she's an accountant and a bean counter. Like Tanner calls her the evil queen of numbers.
Yeah.
And
they
just drop this after this movie. Like it's never sort of done again. But like that's integral to her character in this movie, is she's sort of like the head over heart analysis over field agent kind of thing.
Yeah, which makes her a perfect foil to Bond, who is entirely instinct-based. Unfortunately, Bond is proven to be right every single fucking time.
Yeah, but Bond does say...
Numbers were never my strong suit.
Which?
I never learned to read.
I never learned to count. Above 7, really. So, yeah.
But Tanner tells Bond, like, well, we've long had this hunch that the Seven Eye facility where the Tiger helicopter is now parked is a place where the Russians have a secret space-based weapon called Goldeneye. And the idea is that it sets off a nuclear bomb in the upper atmosphere, and then it launches a big EMP, and everything in the blast radius with an electric circuit fucking explodes. But obviously not the helicopter. And as they are saying this, even as Judi Dench is like, we don't believe that this thing exists, our analysts say there's no such thing as Goldeneye, obviously it goes off, and they see this happen on the satellite, and Seven Eye goes fucking boom.
Yes. Now,
sorry, this has nothing to do with anything. Nate, can you cut out the bit where I tried to start my sentence with Judi Dench and then also cut this out? Where I tried to start my sentence with Judi Dench and then got cut off, and instead I just said the word Jew and then left it there. Could you just remove that? Remove this. I realized that me quietly whispering the word Jew in the background, that was probably not the best fucking
I
bit.
saw you doing that, and I was like, was that at me? That was at me.
Oh, fuck, you have to leave the bit in here now. Leave it all. Shit. Anyway, regardless. So Judi Dench.
So
Judi
like,
Dench
there's
says-
Judi Dench, yeah. Judi Dench delivers this line, right, which is one of two lines. Shut the fuck up. Behave yourselves.
Judench.
Calm down. Judi Dench delivers this line that is one of the two lines in the movie that is made hysterically funny by the War on Terror, because Bond sees the thing go off on the
One of the few things that the War on
screen.
Terror made hysterically funny.
Yeah, and Bond sees the Goldeneye detonate on the screen. He goes, "Is this live?" And Judi Dench says, "Unlike the American government, we prefer not to get our bad news from CNN." Which is, for a movie 6 years before 9/11, fucking prefigures a couple of things.
Whispering to George Bush while he's reading the children's book that Goldeneye has destroyed Severnaya. Yeah.
Another thing, and this goes back to an earlier thing, but Judi Dench very specifically says RE the concept of Goldeneye, which they explain perfectly. They're like, "Oh, this is Goldeneye. This is what it does.
It's an EMP weapon. It destroys computers."
Yeah, it does all of this thing. It does. It makes the movie go the common toaster,
Common toaster,
the household toaster.
God damn it!
But also, I ran the numbers, and I think that's dumb as shit.
Yes.
And then it happens 2 seconds later, and she goes, "Oh."
Gotta overcorrect for this. So like, oh Christ. Then we get the line, because she takes Bond to her office and she makes him a drink, and she says, "You think I'm an accountant and an analyst and a bean counter, and I don't want to do anything and I'm too cautious." And Bond just goes, "Yeah," in this sort of flagrant display of disrespect. And then she hits him with the ultimate having your cake and eating it line, unmatched in the series to this day.
Because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War.
She is proven right for the next 2 hours. But like, Bond gets away clean every fucking time.
Now here's my point here, because I've seen
is
her
it like
say
a
this line.
15-minute
I might
long
not have
yell?
shut the fuck up. I might not have seen this movie ever, but I've seen this goddamn line, because it's the gif that was responded to us by every one of the dumbest motherfuckers on earth when they were mad at us about saying that Moonraker was shit. I'm talking about the
your
many
pro
podcasts
James Bond podcast,
where they were like,
What?
"Oh, they say in the fucking movies that he's bad. Look, here's the gif of M saying Bond's bad." Also, 2 seconds before she says that, she immediately is proven wrong by something, because she says Ormov probably isn't the guy, because he doesn't fit our profile of a fucking traitor, which we know to be wrong. Like, we, as the movie, factually know that she's wrong then. And then immediately thereafter, she says to Bond, "You're not good at your job. You're useless. You're sexist.
Bond, you're
And,
too
like,
much of a Sigma male."
It doesn't fucking matter for her to look directly at the audience and look directly at the critics and be like, "Oh, Bond is bad," if the entire rest of the movie screams in all caps that he's correct to be this way.
Yes, which he is. And they undercut it in the same fucking scene
Seconds later,
because she kind of like mounts this defensive position, which again Judi Dench bosses because she's a great actor, where she's like, "Listen, I'm not above sending people to their death. I just don't do it for no reason, even when they're as cavalier about their life as you are." Which is like, again, that's a good read on M as a character, right?
Yeah.
But then she sends Bond out there, and as he's at the door, she goes, "Don't get killed," or like, "Come back alive." And he sort of smiles to himself, and she fucking smiles to herself too. And the effect is to just absolutely deflate any criticism of him that she's just made to be like, you lovable scamp. And it's very much like previous Dude M in License to Kill, when he's like, Bond, you're not allowed to go on a roaring rampage of revenge. Bond kicks him in the chest, throws maggots in his face, and then M sort of gets up and sees Bond running away. And he's like, oh, you old scamp, I guess I'll have to send Q to help you out.
Best of luck with that roaring rampage of revenge, Bond.
I love the idea of like, oh, you're a relic of the Cold War. Now go be inserted into Cuba by the CIA.
No, it's not even fucking that. It's not even that he's like a relic of the Cold War, which, like, first of all, interesting because that's the same guy that was in World War II. But like, it's not that he's a relic of the
Bond,
Cold
you will
War.
maintain continuity.
Well, he even refers to, when he's talking to Em earlier, he says, your predecessor kept a bottle of cognac in the top fucking drawer. When I wrote, your predecessor, who is Admiral Miles Messervy, who I am familiar with because I'm the same guy.
Yeah.
But, like, it's nothing to say that Bond is a fucking relic of the Cold War, right? Because Bond was a relic of whatever the most recent war is at any point in his life. Ian Fleming even deliberately wrote him as a little bit out of touch with modernity and a relic of the fucking Second World War. Although, admittedly, he wrote that he was out of touch with modernity in the 50s. So, like, he was just like, he didn't like mixed fabrics or some shit like that. He refused to
really
smoke cigarettes because he thought they were gay.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's it. He's always been out of touch. It's part of his character. It's not interesting to say he's out of touch.
It would be better actually if he was like super progressive.
I'm out of my mind when you're around.
Woke James Bond.
Bond in the 90s was going on about like neo pronouns and furries and shit, and he was just like decades ahead of everyone.
That's what Daniel Craig is, isn't he? He's fucking woke.
There is a bit slightly earlier where we get woke Tanner, because when Tanner is explaining the concept of an EMP, he says, yeah, the point of it is to like disable an adversary before he, she, or they could retaliate.
I also wrote that down.
I took a note of this as well.
The mission is find Goldeneye, find whoever's nicked it, try and stop them. If
Find
it does turn out
the
to be
woman who
Uramov,
escaped.
yeah, find whoever escaped, because we saw that on the satellite. And if it does turn out to be Uramov behind it, whatever you do, don't try and get revenge for killing 006 at the opening of the movie.
Yes.
Revenge is bad. Remember when you were the
thing we
same
just
guy
remembered
in
that
fucking
happened.
Italy with those two Greek men, and you said revenge was bad?
Yeah.
So my
Remember
next note
also
is,
when
hello again, Brad Whitaker.
Yeah, he's back, baby.
we're
Well,
skipping
after
two
we see
bits.
Q.
We're skipping two scenes.
Oh, you're right. Carry on.
Yeah,
we have a Q scene. I forgot.
We
Sorry,
have
carry
a
on.
Q scene, right? Well, first of all, we have a scene in the Russian Defense Ministry where the Russian Defense Minister tells Oromov, yeah, another one of the people survived Severnaya, and he's like, oh shit, I gotta go and kill this woman, but like under his breath. That's the whole scene. Then we get the Q scene. And he's so fucking old, dude.
I love this
Q
scene.
is the
He's
oldest
so good.
motherfucker on God's
Visibly
earth.
reading off cue cards for
He's
every
fully-
line.
Cue cards, if you will. He
fuck
visibly
you.
like looks
Oh,
off the
hate
screen
you so
between
much.
every line of his. I love you too, my love. Every line of his, he's like talking to Bond, and then he looks directly over Bond's shoulder. and
No,
then
look,
looks back
look
at
closely,
Bond.
007. This is your new car.
I didn't actually notice that any of the times I've seen it. I've seen it 100 times, but he does have some good lines where
He does have
he
some really
gives
good
Bond
lines.
his gadget car, and Bond's like, oh, that'll be fun. And he goes, need I remind you, 007, you have a license to kill, not to break the traffic laws.
And Brosnan does
cute.
this kind of like schoolboy like insouciance,
Yeah.
which he's quite good at, where he's like, wouldn't dream of it.
There's
Which
some
is like,
amazing cartoon-ass background gags in this scene,
oh
too.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
With
yeah.
like the inflating
Oh, yeah.
trench coat in the telephone booth. Like, it's like some straight up Simpson shit. Is amazing.
But I mean, Q's entrance here is to fire a rocket out of a fucking fake car's leg. So, yeah.
He gets two gadgets. He gets a grapple belt and a grenade pen.
Oh, grow up, 007.
A grenade pen. You click it 3 times, the fuse activates. You click it another 3 times, it deactivates.
And then we get a nice bit at the end where like there's a thing that looks like a sandwich on the desk, and Bond picks it up, and Q goes, "Don't touch that. That's my lunch," which I thought was I love that line.
Yeah.
Incredible
was a-
joke.
Still
Truly a
charming.
great line.
Still charming.
I say that to my brothers still when they try and eat my lunch. I'm like, "Don't touch that. That's my lunch."
God, I hope they don't give him any sort of assistant. Anyway.
So, unfortunately, at this point, we have to introduce a supporting character.
And Felix Leiter got his legs bitten too off, and he needs a little bit longer to grow those back and become
That's
black.
right.
So instead, they've brought back Brad Whitaker, who's alive again, and a different guy.
He's a different guy. Also, he's kind of like Sheriff J.W. Pepper, but also kind of like Felix Leiter.
God, imagine if it was Sheriff J.W. Pepper.
I mean, it basically is. Like, he's a comic relief American.
Yeah.
He's Bond's, like, opposite number in the CIA, who's not Felix Leiter, because Felix Leiter has been maimed by a shark. So,
yeah, it's only been 6 years. He needs a little longer.
Jack Wade.
Jack Wade. Bond tries
I love this guy.
Bond tries to give him the code phrase.
He's so good.
And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not saying, the snow is excellent in Innsbruck at this time of year in public or whatever. That's stupid. Relax, be normal.
And he's right.
Yeah, and he's right.
He says,
right.
for crying out loud, another stiff-ass Brit with your secret codes and your passwords. It's good. More people
It's
should
really good.
own James Bond.
Oh, yeah. So, like, at this point, Bond then just pulls a gun on him because he's a stiff-ass Brit and he's not taking chances. And he makes him prove his identity by showing him a rose tattoo that he has on his ass cheek.
Just low-lying horniness in this movie is just bananas.
Yeah, like getting your ass out in St. Petersburg weather, because they're in St. Petersburg at this point. They've gone to Russia. And, like, fucking also the tattoo has the word Muffy on it because that's his third wife, and Brosnan kind of gives this one a weird line reading, to be honest. So I just do have a drop of him going Muffy. So
But the plan is that Jack Wade is going to set Bond up. He can't take him to Yanis, who's the head of the crime syndicate that Xenia works for, but he can maybe set Bond up with Yanis's competition, who is a man named Valentin Zukovsky, who Bond knows already.
I love this bit. I love this bit because, right, Wade describes Zukovsky to him. He's like, big guy, mustache, walks with a limp.
Played Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies, that guy?
Yeah, played Hagrid in the Harry Potter movies. It's communism Hagrid.
Goddamn Russian Hagrid.
But he walks with a limp and so on and so on and so on. And wait, do you know him already? And Bond says, I gave him the limp. Which is not only a great line, but I do like that it's a way of sort of soft rebooting the series by relegating all previous Bonds to James's Cold War antics. Like, it's all just like stuff he got up to in the Cold War or when he was younger, back when he was the same man.
Yeah, back when he was older.
And also before the Cold War, when he was older.
He did go to space when he was younger, but like also...
He nipped to space. It was barely a thing. He wasn't even there for like 20 minutes.
Yeah. He was a sea captain in World War II. He went to space.
He killed an anaconda that one time.
Who
fed a guy to a shark, a motorized shark.
Who canonically served in World War I because he has the fucking...
He's been Japanese at least once. Trained as a ninja, then forgot. Anyway, meanwhile, Natalia realizes that Boris is alive. She goes to meet Boris and gets captured by Boris and Xenia.
Yes.
And then we meet Zukovsky, who says who's unhappy about not being communist anymore.
Can I say how little any of Russia looks like Russia here? It all looks weirdly like London. Strange. Almost as if it's some kind of like
snowing
fictional product. Anyway, so yeah, Zukovsky is like operating out of this bar, and I mean, first of all, we're 2 for 2 on Russian Scots, but also has a fantastic line.
Free market economy, I swear it will be the end of me.
He is an ex-KGB guy who is adapting to capitalism by dealing arms. So
to be fair, that's adapting to capitalism, baby.
100%. 100%. Stick with the winner. So
Truly,
Bond...
Everyone needs guns.
Yes. Yeah. So Bond tries to hold him up with a gun and then immediately gets owned.
Also, Minnie Driver's in this scene. She's singing and she sucks at it.
Stand by your man.
It's really bad. It's bad, but bad on purpose, and it's fun.
Yes.
It's very good.
Valentin Zukovsky's
Campy.
in like a fucking...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Minnie Driver like a known actress at this point?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's
If
an
anything,
incredible
past it.
cameo.
For
then.
me, she's not even a known actress now.
What the fuck?
I was
What?
2 years old when this movie was made. I don't know
This
who Minnie
is
Driver
fucked.
is.
Have you not seen?
Minnie Driver?
Good Will
Well, please welcome the
Hunting?
third host of Kill James Bond, Mattie Lubchansky.
It's just me and Alice now.
Yeah, that's right.
Devon and I are going to start our own podcast.
Oh fuck!
Yeah,
Shit.
with
called
blackjack
James
and
Bond.
I
hookers.
can't compete with that. Fuck. Okay,
We're
so
going to find a way to kick you out of Kill James
Oh,
Bond, and then it's
Jesus.
just going to have to be Maddie, and then we're going to start another podcast, and we do the last couple of Bond films.
oh my god. So Zukovsky and Bond obviously have history, right? And so Zukovsky has him at gunpoint. And he's like, "Well, you did shoot me." And Bond sort of goes, "Yeah, call it professional courtesy that I didn't kill you." And Communism Hagrid gets a fun line where he's like, "I should extend you the same courtesy," and tries to shoot him in both knees. But Bond offers him a deal, right? Which he appeals to his wallet, right?
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yes, Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan, who's the same man as me, Sean Connery.
Tell me. Does a toppling of American missiles really compensate for having no hands? There was a big debate on Twitter. I'm sorry to get off topic a minute. There was a really big people getting mad at someone who was like, weird how both of the bad guys in No Time to Die have facial disfigurements.
Yeah.
Strange that they keep doing this.
Happens
And
in this
everyone in
one
the
too.
chat was going like, what are you talking about, buddy?
Oh my
It's not
God.
ableist to make all your villains have facial
It's fine.
disfigurements.
It's fine. We'll have
And
M.
it's like-
We'll have M. call him ableist in the next movie, so it's fine.
Like Bond's first line to a villain in the entire
Yeah,
series.
like, yo, you
was where
disfigured
he
much?
was Like, yo, Doctor No, you've got no hands, lol.
Genuinely, like the most fucked thing to say to him. I'm still not over that line.
Oh, we can't
I'm
hold
telling you, it's his
geniuses, can
finishing
we?
move.
Tell me, does the toppling of American missiles really compensate for having no hands?
What?
You can hear the smile in his voice when he delivers that line. Perfect. Fantastic.
Okay, so
I'm telling you, it's his finishing move. Exploit disability.
Bond makes a deal with Zukovsky. I'm kind of unclear on exactly what the deal was because it's not important.
Yeah, it's a fake arms
something
deal. Doesn't matter.
something about some arms deal, whatever. However, Zukovsky then fucking delivers the entire history of British foreign policy in one easy drop.
But the British betrayed them.
Because
Da-da-da-da-da.
he tells Bond that he knows that Janus is a Lientz Cossack. And the Lientz Cossacks fought for the Nazis against the Soviet Union, but surrendered to the British. And after the war, they thought that they would be like fighting against communism. But the Brits handed them all over to Stalin, who had them all shot, right? And
Which, in the case of the Nazi collaborators, lol, get wrecked, you get what you deserve.
I'm not
But
gonna
also their
say
families were
good.
shot as well.
there's
Nazi collaborators who were also Cossacks who spent the years before World War II literally driving Jews out for
Oh
fucking
yeah, well, like
decades
this
and
is the
decades.
fucking
I'm not
like,
saying good, but I'm not saying bad.
But
I mean,
Bond,
I'm literally-
like, this is the first bit of
Yeah.
like
It's good.
sort of like Britain not 100% good that we've had in a Bond movie. Bond fully gives it the not exactly our finest hour, and he says that quite ruefully about your literal Nazi collaborators.
Yes, but also, I mean, Zukovsky says ruthless people, they got what they deserve, but also...
Yeah, he's right.
He was right, but also he mentions that their families and their like children were also shot.
You can't break an omelet without shooting a few children. Anyway, Bond.
It's not the official position of Kill James Bond.
Yes, it is. Bond goes to
the world's only Stalinist James Bond podcast.
Well,
That's-
thank you to
that's
our
right.
new host of Kill James Bond,
off.
Mattie Lubchansky.
No.
Over to you, Matty!
Take it
Anyways.
away.
I had a strong family connection with this film, as my family was driven out by the Western Pale of Settlement by the Cossacks.
There you go.
More and
Oh,
more,
isn't
and more
that
on this
interesting?
episode of Kill James Bond, starring me, and me once more.
But Meanwhile, Xenia has to be back in the film because we need to extend this podcast by another hour by just talking about Xenia.
More hooting.
No, she does a scene anyway. Moving on.
She does a scene where Bond is like in the pool of his hotel swimming, and then as he gets out, she tries to jump him and like do sex murder on him. And we get to the sort of most muddled part of Xenia's character because she's kind of like she's a sadist, right? But she's also a masochist, and like as we know, that combination never naturally occurs.
No, especially not in women who look a little bit trans.
Absolutely not. No.
Nope.
Are you implying there's some sort of sadomasochist?
No.
Nah,
Listen.
ridiculous.
Listen.
Sadomasochists who scratch and bite people as they fuck? Nah.
Switches are for walls, okay? So they fight. Bond like rams her into a wall with his dick several times. That's his new move.
I'm sorry, listeners, you can't tell us, but Dev just gave me the most withering fucking look through the window. They were just like, fuck off, Abigail.
Listen, it's fine.
Remotely operated spraying system. So
at this point in the movie, by the way, me and my wife who watches together are holding onto each other like a hurricane is going to blow us away. Like it was just screaming.
There's a lot going on here.
I went forward 30 seconds on Amazon. I was like,
come on.
all right. I don't need to know what's in this. I'll fucking hear about it.
I swear to God.
Anyway, tell me about it.
The way he like dispatches her is like he defeats her in combat is by like dropping her ass first onto some hot coals, which is the worst thing I can fucking imagine. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, right? I'm all for a bit of sexual masochism, right? Obviously, but that sounds. I don't think in that situation I would be like, Gems. I think I would be like, my ass is on.
Oh no, she does.
Ow,
That's how he defeats her. She's enjoying him like trying to beat her up, but then he drops her on the sauna coals, and that's too much. But anyway, he takes her at gunpoint and then says, "Take me to Yanis."
Words. Yeah, he takes her at gunpoint. Take me to Yanis, and then we get.
She looks at the camera and says, "Devon, I'm done now," and walks off the screen.
And I went, perfect, thank you.
Abigail and I returned to not watching the movie.
I clocked back in and was like, okay, where do I purchase these fucking props? Is what I asked next, because Bond goes to what I can only describe as Soviet graveyard.
The garden of like discarded Soviet statues.
Because this film is trying to have themes. It's trying to give us this message of like, as much as you think history has ended, these old things that you think are dead and buried will come back to haunt you. History is not yet over. The ghosts of the past will visit us. And lo and behold, they fucking do in the persona
it's honestly
of Sean Bean.
Wait, Abby, would you call that a sort of themes park that they enter?
Yes, I would.
It's honest to God, it's like watching a child teeth. You're like, oh look, it's trying to have
baby's
themes.
first themes.
Oh, that's so cute.
And as
really
we know,
baby's first fucking theme, the collapse of the Soviet Union.
As we know, facial disfigurement means you're evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see Janus, we see Sean Bean returned back to life. And again, credit for some acting here, but it genuinely does seem to unnerve Bond, right? Like he doesn't quite know how to respond to this. And Janus fucking makes fun of him for it. He's like, what, you don't have a line for this, bitch?
Mm-hmm.
Would you believe that he reveals the facial disfigurement in the exact line that we find out he's evil? Would you believe that, audience? Interesting. He steps forward, semi-lit. Half of his face is lit when Bond's like, by God, Alec Trevelyan, stage name of Abigail. I can't believe that you're back. And then he steps forward one more, and then we find out that Sean Bean, Alec Trevelyan, was a Lien's Cossack.
His parents were.
Right.
Also, he's not even that badly burned. He's really upset at James for changing the timers to 3 minutes, and he's like, "You've disfigured my face," but actually, he just looks cool.
Yeah,
That's normal,
you've
that's
interrupted my plan to fake my death and defect without knowing it, and therefore I have a murderous grudge against you.
You bitch.
He like his big deal is to own Bond for being like, do you care about your friends or do you care about the mission, right? And then he.
So the answer is his friends.
Yeah, but like
he's not even right in the way he's trying to own.
No,
It's
Bond.
like, did you
It's
not
like-
see the last film where I was Welsh and I did a whole extra mission that wasn't even a mission because of my friend? Did you get eaten by
You
sharks?
even
This is-
my rip-roaring rampage of revenge,
this is
Alec?
also
Come
some
on,
like
man.
this is also some like having cake and eating it, right? Because there's a couple of
Yeah,
scenes
fully.
like this. There's another one which I sampled huge amounts of, right? Because it's so fucking like trenchant a criticism of Bond. Like he has him at gunpoint and he goes,
I might as well ask you if all the vodka martinis ever silenced the screams of all the men you've killed.
or
Or if you find forgiveness in the arms of all those willing women for all the dead ones you failed to protect.
because they're all because you were the same guy in all those movies. You keep getting women killed, but
Remember when you completely ended that bloodline in fucking Goldfinger? By
yo,
getting
remember when you just
both
found
sisters
a woman
killed?
named Plenty O'Toole dead in your fucking swimming pool? But like, this is the having your cake and eating it part, right? Is the only criticisms of Bond are then followed immediately by I'm owned or but I'm evil, right? And so in order to prove that he's evil, Trevelyan tries to like kill two birds with one stone. He locks Bond and Natalia, who he's captured, in the helicopter and then has it like fire missiles at itself.
Mhm.
Uh,
A thing helicopters can do because
Uh-huh.
computers had been invented.
because computers, yes.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's right.
Bond ejects them both from the helicopter, and then they immediately get captured again. So, like, I will give Alec credit, right, for sticking around to see that happen, and then seeing that it hasn't come off, then being like, yeah, we should probably like capture this guy, instead of just like placing him in the situation and booking it.
We haven't really dwelt on it much, listeners, but Bond is doing little quips as all this is happening. Like when
whole
they
time.
escape the missiles, he goes, the things we do for frequent flyer mileage.
Quip Bond is back.
I
like,
think Pierce
since the days
Brosnan
of
sells
Moore.
it because he kind of like just says it to himself. He's almost like a little embarrassed by it, or like, it's almost like a nervous tick. Like that's how he gets over the fact that he nearly just fucking died.
Mm-hmm.
They get arrested.
They get arrested. They get interrogated by the defense minister, who we saw Oromov reporting to earlier. Bond gets a fun line, which is like,
That's the trouble with the world today. No one takes the time to do a really sinister interrogation anymore. It's a lost art.
which is very funny because like Michigan
because he was
just
the
comes
same
in
guy
like
in all of those previous ones.
Michigan's just like, okay, when do you want us to shoot you? And Bond's like, oh, you're not doing a whole bit now.
Yeah, where's the penis laser?
Yeah.
man?
Come
Let's
on,
go.
where's the
Fucking-
slow penis laser?
Fucking compare that to Casino Royale, right? Which we haven't seen yet. But like
I
going
haven't
from
seen
like
that at all.
kind of like quite sarcastically but quite funnily being like, oh, you're not gonna do like a penis laser thing here, to just going immediately to whipping testicles with knotted rope. It shows you how things have changed a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah, I have heard about that scene. Excited to finally see it at some point.
yeah.
Legally, I'm not allowed to watch any of his movies ahead of time.
But Mishkin thinks that MI6 has stolen Goldeneye, and Natalia says, no, I was there. General Urumov is a traitor, and he's stolen it because there are two Goldeneyes. There's the first satellite that he used to cover the crime, but there's the second one that he must still have. Well, he doesn't have a satellite in his pocket, but he's got the little mini disc that
he has the
controls it.
control over it. Yeah.
It's up there. There are two
And so
satellites.
as Mishkin is like realizing this, we see Oromov come in looking like an Ace Attorney witness. Like
He's been caught in like
shit's falling
2
off
to
of
3
him.
lies. He's got.
He's like, and every scene subsequently he gets more like this, like more shit falls
It's so
off.
good. I actually love Oromov
I genuinely love this design. I love this writing of just having a villain who absolutely does not have their shit together at all.
He's betraying the Soviet Union, which doesn't really exist anymore, but he's
Yeah.
betraying Russia or some shit, and
Yeah.
he knows that he's betraying the entirety of Russia.
Oh yeah,
He's
like
so nervous.
He like wings it basically. He shoots Mishkin. He tries to frame Bond for it. Bond overpowers him. they flee through the archives. Bond kills about 50 people in this.
Yeah, Bond kills all of Mishkin's men, which I wrote
This is
down.
a lot of
Arguably, they're on the
shooting.
same side.
It's a lot of shooting. Bond tries to escape with Natalia. Natalia falls through a floor by virtue of...
She clips through the
girl?
floor. She glitches.
By the way, I
Escort
found
mission
a fucking
failed.
chart, right? I found a chart that lays out Bonds by the number of kills that they have committed on screen per movie, right? So it's an average. Timothy Dalton on screen committed about 6 kills average per movie, which seems
Sounds about
low.
right. That sounds about right to me.
George Lazenby, 7. Interestingly, more than Dalton. Roger Moore, about 8, about 9. Sean Connery is about 9. Daniel Craig is about 9. Pierce Brosnan is about 19 per movie.
Wow.
I'm looking at this and it
Bloodthirsty.
goes...
Yeah, he's getting
Just
fucking
straight up.
quad kills with an AK.
He got that license back and he's like, I'm going to put some fucking points on this.
The things we do for frequent flyer miles. So at this point, Natalia gets captured and James just leaves. He jumps.
He's got a tank to drive.
He jumps out a window and, seeing Natalia being bundled into a car by Oromov, gets into a tank to chase them through St. Petersburg. Which is
It rules. It's sick.
It's a fun chase scene. Bond drives through a lot of stuff. It's an
the first
interesting.
time they
Yeah.
use the Bond theme in the movie.
I have a couple of notes here. Some of them are very Alice-ass notes, I would say. When he jumps into the tank yard, only 2 of them are T-54s, 3 of them are British chieftains.
Yep.
Mocked
up to look more Russian.
Yeah, and you can tell because the fuel extractor's halfway up the gun barrel and stuff.
Thank you.
But,
everyone at home was saying that and thinking about it also.
Oh, they were yelling.
Well,
at the screen,
Devon.
fuel extractor, I said.
Oh, Don.
Honey?
I'm getting really into modeling tanks. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
so he also drifts the T-54, and it's insanely sick, nasty.
Oh, it's so
rules.
cool.
It rules. There's also this is something that we will come back to in
The
future
handling on that
movies
thing rules.
of Bond is sort of relentless monstrous pursuer. And again, Oromov gets some fun bits from this because he's looking out the back window of the car and he's drinking out of a hip flask every time Bond does some sick nasty shit.
Oromov's
It's
driver
really
is
fucking
really,
good.
really trying.
Oromov is legitimate.
We shouldn't have left the one tank with an e-brake just sitting around.
It took him a couple of weeks to film this overall because Bond is driving a tank through the center of St. Petersburg. He's just fucking going. He breaks through a statue at one point. He's evading the cops. Some of them go in the river.
At what point he's driving as a statue?
It's
Which is
great.
amazing.
That's true.
Great,
The
yeah.
statue is on top
Cartoon
of his
shit.
tank.
It's cartoon
It
shit.
is.
rules.
It is. And so, but Oromov does evade him, right? And
2 more notes, sorry. The only thing is, Oromov's car effortlessly obliterates a concrete bollard with absolutely no damage to the car itself.
Yep, nice.
That's actually not true. It breaks one of the front lights, but that's fixed by the end of the fight. That's nice.
Yeah, because you're
And
getting
the other
into
thing is,
modeling little Volgas now.
I don't really remember what the plot is at this point, but I don't particularly care.
Yeah, it's satellites. So
I'm just watching a tank drive through the center of St. Petersburg, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't remember how we got here, but okay.
And then we get to the scene that sent me into crisis mode because they arrive at a
God.
missile train and Xenia is there, and my notes say, where can I get her fucking jacket? Because she has this incredible, slightly longer than waistline,
great.
black high collar turned up, belted with a matching silver brooch and belt buckle that's shaped like a little flame or something. It's
I want her to
so
kill
good.
me so badly.
Oh my god.
It's great. Yeah. Also, points to Alex Trevelyan for using the coolest method of transport, Evil Lair armored train. It looks a
That
bit like
train.
Darth Vader. Yeah.
The train looks like an angry skull. Yeah,
It's
sorry, Dave.
fantastic. It's fantastic. So
Shit looks like the Pokemon Probo Pass.
yeah, so you remember how I said that we have to have every criticism of
Google
Bond
that.
be followed by "but I'm evil"? Well, at this point, we also find out that Alec is a full-on rapist, not in the cool way that James Bond is back in all those times when he was the same guy, but in the more gross way. But what's weird is as he is perving on Natalia, his opening line is, James and I shared everything. Absolutely everything. Which is, like, in retrospect, given what he then tries to do to her, makes it seem like James Bond and Alec Trevelyan spent the Cold War doing some fucking Bittaker and Norris shit in the back of a van, you know? I don't like this.
Comfort women shit. It's not good. My man was on that Man King mode. It's also very interesting to compare and contrast the way that Alec Trevelyan being a rapist is shot and edited and shown to make him automatically evil versus all of the on-screen rapes that Sean Connery did. Because I went back and rewatched 2 of them just to see the difference in like presentation, and it's incredible.
Oh yeah,
but you see this and you're supposed to be like, oh, disgusting. Who could think of hurting a woman in such a way? And then you go back to the Sean Connery era, and it's like, yeah, that lesbian needs to be reset. Great stuff, Sean.
But the music is fun, so it's different. Morally.
Yeah. It's basically through music and framing.
I love filmmaking. So Bond.
I hate James Bond so much.
Bond parks his tank on the tracks in front of the train. My favorite single Xenia line at this point is she goes, like, in what ordinarily might be horror, he's going to derail us, and she sounds fucking horned the fuck up for
looks like she's about to come so hard that she dies, or die so hard that she comes.
Again, switches aren't real. They were made up by the CIA to sell more fucking sex toys, but that is a great line read.
I'm right here.
So am I. What do you mean?
While Alice was talking just now, Devon, you like retreated like a turtle just away.
I just leaned back in my chair. I got nothing to contribute, but I also will get yelled at by the audience if I stop her. So what am I going to do?
So what's great is, like, Bond then, like, he derails the train. He gets on the train with a gun. He puts the gun on Xenia and Alec, but then Oromov comes up behind him holding a gun to Natalia, right? And, like, again, Alec is using his one weird trick, which is, do you care about your friends or the mission? And Bond tries to, like, call his bluff and play it off with, like, kill her. She doesn't mean anything to me. And that doesn't really work. And so we know that Bond's like finishing move is to use a villain's disability against them. We step up a notch here because this is the first time that we have seen Bond use a villain's ethnicity against them. He deploys his trump card. Yo, you heard about this? What race this guy is?
James Bond becomes an absolute measurehead level of racist towards
he's
the
a person of Cossack experience.
Yeah, exactly. He tells Oromov he's probably going to betray you. You know he's a Lienz Cossack. And Oromov, the dumbest motherfucker in the world, is like, oh shit, is that true, dude?
Yo, he's a Lienz. What the fuck?
Alec has this good line where he says, well, all that matters is that in 48 hours, you and I will have more money than God, which I love as a line. But anyway, Bond whips around and shoots Urumov dead, and Alec and Xenia escape.
Shouldn't have been racist. So at this point...
sucks to suck.
Yeah, at this point, Alec locks them in the train carriage. Natalia tries to, like, trace the fucking hack the Gibson, trace the mainframe, whatever, to find out where next location is. And because Alec is a catty bitch who lives for drama, as he is leaving, he's like, oh, don't worry, I set the explosives for like 6 minutes. The same 6 minutes you gave me. And just leaves. Fantastic. Love that
Natalia's
shit.
Like, what does that mean? And Bond's like, yeah, we got 3 minutes. He's a bitch.
Mad at you for something you did by accident because I was betraying you and you didn't know it. And I've been holding this grudge for a decade.
They are bitter exes. They really are.
Oh, that would have been a more interesting read. But, like, Natalia finds out they're in Cuba, right? Bond uses his laser watch, the thing that, like, every Bond gadget has been aspiring to since, the watch with a laser in it, to cut the bottom out.
Goldeneye.
Yeah.
the N64, which is the game that this film was based on.
Yes.
There is a remarkably a quite fun scene where Boris realizes his computer is being traced by Natalia, and he's just like desperately pulling racks out of the server in his house.
Which would be a fantastic
shit.
gift to send to centrist pundits on Twitter. If you didn't mind getting sued every time you used it. Anyway,
It's funny though.
It is very funny.
Also, one point I want to note. One point I want to note
Escape.
is she corrects his pronunciation of her name. Natalia does. I think it's
Simonova.
extremely good.
Yeah.
He says Simonova, and she's like Simonova.
When they escape the train, they're sitting there, the train explodes, and they're kind of sitting there panting. And this would be, and indeed is, the moment when like James Bond and the girl kiss. But what's interesting about this one is that she initiates it. It's like she's the one who starts acting horny, and then it's like, so is there anything else we need to do? And like leans into him. And Brosnan has this like tiny little double take where he's like, what? Oh, okay. Like he's actually surprised by this, which I thought was quite cute.
Also, every time she tells him to do something, he calls her Sir sarcastically. It's like the second consecutive Bond movie where he does this, because Timothy Dalton also did it in License to Kill. And let me tell you, James Bond and I finally share one kink, and it is calling women Sir when they tell you what to do. It rules. Anyway, we go to Cuba. Don't ask any questions about that.
So horny.
It's so horny, dude.
So horny.
It's so
Seems we share three common interests.
I love that we're saying this in completely different tones. Where you're going, this movie's so horny, and I'm like,
So horny.
Motoring,
so horny.
baccarat, and pussy.
Voting.
I mean, I think it's like this director could only make very horny movies. I don't know if you've ever seen his follow-up, which is The Mask of Zorro.
Oh, that's a horny
Jesus.
movie. At
That's
least
a
Zorro's
horny
supposed to be horny. Matty, will you come back on to talk about The Mask of Zorro?
Why would we
God.
talk
In Kill
about
James
the
Bond
Mask?
season
Yes.
2, that would actually be
Alright.
that would actually be quite good.
I'm so no.
Completely
I watched that
appropriate.
movie for the first time very recently, and the fucking scene where Anthony Hopkins is whipping out candles shirtless.
Okay, that is horny. Yeah,
All right,
God
you've got
damn.
Devon on board. Yeah.
you got me on that one.
Okay.
Anyway, Cuba.
Okay. Yeah,
Fine,
Cuba.
sold. You got me.
James and Natalia have to go together because he doesn't know how to disarm the Goldeneye, and so she's like, take me with you, right? Sheriff J.W. Pepper is then like, the CIA is going to get you into Cuba because we've been tremendously successful at infiltrating Cuba and definitely
CIA is so good at that.
haven't gotten owned every time we've tried.
Insanely funny.
And if you need help, just call me and I will get the Marines and invade Cuba for the second time.
This is so
Don't
good.
worry.
Don't worry,
I'll
we'll
get the
invade
most
Cuba.
Miami ass
Don't worry.
motherfuckers to come and get
Don't
you.
worry, I got a
worry,
bunch of fascist exile gusanos. Yeah.
all
This
power
is
to
on,
the Cuban Revolution. Thank you.
That's right. So there's a weird scene on the beach, right, where Natalia tries to like get inside Bond's head, and he just kind of like doesn't let her.
Yeah, he's sad because he's going to have to kill Alec, and she's like, "Oh, how can you be so cold?" And he's like, "Suck my dick." That's the scene.
He
That's
also
the full
like
scene. I didn't even write a note
yeah,
about
I mean
He
he also
grabs her
like
quite
grabs
forcefully
her
and-
and
yeah.
like forces a kiss on her, which James and I shared everything, absolutely everything. Then they fly the Cessna into Cuba undetected, and they're looking for a big radar dish, a big satellite dish, and they can't find it, and they're flying over this lake. And at this point I wrote down, this is a lot like when there was another secret base hidden under a mountain lake in Japan when I was the same guy.
And also, like, then he's about to leave when they shoot at him, which you should have just let him go.
Just let him go. Let him fucking go. But they shoot down the plane.
It's a lot like the time I infiltrated Chinese airspace when looking for a secret base when I was the same guy
in The Man from the Golden Gun.
in Man with the Golden
They're
Gun.
both like knocked
Man with the
out.
Golden Eye.
and Xenia is like, no, we're not just shooting them. I am rappelling down to kill them with my thighs.
You want to hear my note about this one?
It's that you stopped watching for the next 15 minutes.
No. My note here is, all right, I do like this outfit.
she's wearing like
got me on this
tactical
one.
fatigue.
This is the first
Fine.
one. It's still
Ladies and
incredible.
gentlemen,
She has
tactical
a
fishnet.
She has a killer line, which is she grabs Bond and as she's squeezing him, she's like,
This time, Mr. Bond, the pleasure will be all mine.
fucking get his ass. And also, Natalia tries to like hit her with a stick or something. She headbutts her unconscious and then says, "Wait your turn." Bisexual icon. I fucking love Xenia Onatopp so much. I wish she would kill me. That's the rest of the podcast is me saying things like that.
She does go out like a bitch. So her death
does.
is shit.
She goes out like a bitch. I wrote that. I wrote, "This wouldn't kill me, rip to Xenia, I'm different."
Yeah.
She gets pulled into a tree by the crashing helicopter because Bond shoots the helicopter
pilot,
down. She just kind of,
Yeah,
she's
she
not even
gets
really attached to
caught in the
anything. She just gets
I think it's
crook of a tree.
supposed to be
I
like
don't
she
know.
is choked around the midsection, ironically, by the harness she is wearing while this helicopter falls down. But it is communicated visually very
live
poorly.
by the thighs, die by the helicopter harness.
I'm always saying this.
It's what you would have wanted.
The classic saying.
Well, welcome to this fucking movie analysis podcast where all three of the hosts go, "Oh," when something about the movie is pointed out. We're paying attention, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Doing our best
Now,
there.
at this point, because James Bond is a stupid policeman, right?
To the fourth host of the show.
He says she always did enjoy a good squeeze. Again, doing his little quips to himself.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a stupid policeman, he like still doesn't realize that the satellite dish is under the fucking lake thing until it physically pops up from under it. And then he makes the podcaster noise of understanding. He's like, "Oh, it's under the..."
Also, the satellite dish popping up is a masterful work use of miniature, betrayed only by the fact water
the
doesn't
miniatures
behave
in
at
this
scale.
movie are so good. The satellite's really good. The dam
Yeah,
is
it's
really
so
good.
I love the miniatures in this fucking movie so much.
Love
and
a
then
good
like
miniature.
the water doesn't behave like that at scale. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way of things. It's hard to have something because of adhesion and cohesion, that kind of thing. But it comes out, and then the last little bits of the water draining out of the fucking satellite dish is reversed footage of them filling the satellite dish. It's really obvious,
It's
but I
super
love
obvious.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so good.
So at this
Miniatures
point,
own.
like they immediately get detected trying to go into the satellite dish.
Into the world famous Arecibo Observatory.
That's right.
Like, no one notices that's what it is.
But James Bond activates the incredibly, like the best shaped explosives in cinematic history, the mines from the video game GoldenEye that this is based on. He plants those about the place.
Fans, of the original work.
You also get like a more early Moore era ass set, which I really love.
Oh yeah, it's like almost like a Ken Adams set, like
It's a
big
good base.
multi-level command center.
Cool
sort of thing.
staircases.
Yeah.
Never again see his kind.
It's got a little thing where you've got to turn 2 keys at once to start the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, actually, that's a great fucking point, Abby. The 2 keys thing I wrote down earlier on at the first time they activated GoldenEye. The point of 2 keys is so that one guy can't turn them both at once.
Yeah.
But the 2 keys in the fucking original GoldenEye start thing are literally right next to each other. And it would
tell
be
me,
so easy
does
for one
the
motherfucker
toppling of American missile really compensate for having
Richard Keel
the
could do
only
it. Richard
villain
Keel
it
could
could have
reach
worked
across
with.
and do both at once.
It would have been
yeah.
easy to turn both keys at once. But fortunately, in this second place, they are quite far apart. So
Yeah.
great work.
So Bond immediately gets captured. Natalia escapes and like hacks the mainframe and encrypts the satellite, sending it into sort of a deorbit burn. Alec at this point then reads Bond his fucking ass, right? He tells him, you're a fucking sexist, misogynist dinosaur and a relic of the Cold War, yada yada yada. You kill women all the time.
He steals his watch.
You get your friends killed all the time. He knows like most of Bond's like Q gadgets, so he just turns off the detonator in his watch, which is quite funny.
There's also a bit where he says, "So how is old Q?" Which is kind of quite not like Trevelyan used to have his own Q scenes.
How is our dad, basically?
And Q.
Yeah.
We find out his plan.
We find out his plan, which is he is going to rob the Bank of England using computer. And then, having used computer to rob the Bank of England, detonate Goldeneye over London, destroying every technological item in London, sending England back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
And because Bond is a stupid policeman, he can only grasp this in the sort of insulting terms of, you're just robbing a bank in revenge. And of course, Trevelyan is like, no, the revenge is the point. The bank robbery is kind of like ancillary to the revenge thing. It's mostly a revenge thing.
Yeah.
He's doing Fight Club to London is what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like the reason why he's doing this is mostly because...
But the British betrayed them.
Yeah. And Alex says this is going to destroy not just all record of the theft, but also like criminal records, any records, tax records, any record of student debt records, like any kind of like...
Do it, Alex.
Yeah,
Alex, pull the fucking trigger.
Exactly.
Alex,
it's fucking based. And he says the United Kingdom is about to re-enter the Stone Age. England is about to learn the cost of betrayal. And I was like, get him! Do it! Fuck us up!
Pull the trigger, Alex.
Abby, how badly do you want to end an email to an NHS like clinical care group with England is about to learn the cost of betrayal?
Do you think I haven't?
NHS England is about to learn the cost of
everyone
betrayal.
On the gender... to be fair, it would also wipe out the gender identity clinic waiting list. But a small price to pay.
NHS England is about to learn the price of betrayal.
In my notes, there was another themes alert, which was the GoldenEye satellite itself. Just looks like a regular 1990 satellite, and then it opens up, and what's in there? That's right, folks. It's a Soviet satellite with CCCP written right on it.
It says CCCP on it.
Yeah, because these things that come back to haunt you. Just when you think history's ended, here it comes.
Yeah, the parade in front of Red Square is opened up and the tanks roll out of the floats and Lenin comes back to life.
I think it was weird that this movie ended with the line 9/11 will never happen, given that nobody knew what 9/11 was at this point.
M looking directly at the camera. 9/11 won't ever happen.
Listen closely, 007.
Something I really enjoyed is that the guards pull Natalia forward and she recognizes Boris.
Oh, yeah.
And just like, she fucking knocks him one.
Oh, yeah. And it's not like a little slap either. She fucking goes for him, too. Yeah. Also...
And I wrote, they fully let her get one in there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because they're sick of his shit, too.
I have changed your password again.
Alec is visibly sick of Boris's shit in this scene, which is very funny.
Yeah. We get a fun reversal because again, this is the best written Bond movie so far, where Trevelyan tries to make Natalia unencrypt the fucking satellite and make it work again, and he says like, "Do it or I'll shoot Bond." And she's like, "Oh, go ahead. He means nothing to me. Fucking get his ass." And you see Bond make a little like, "Well, she got me there" face, which I really like.
Meanwhile, Boris has
we
have seen Boris has a habit of twiddling pens as he types, and he has, without knowing it, picked up Bond's grenade pen and is like clicking it like 2 times, and we know that 3 means it goes kaboom.
And we're just waiting and waiting as this happens until finally Bond... I mean, the same James Bond who...
Numbers were never my strong suit.
Does fucking count this on the fly, right? And
you can count to 3. I think that's fine. I think numbers...
I never learned past
have
7.
To be your strong
Timothy
suit
Dalton
to count to 3.
I was in a weak
That's before
maths
you can
set
even go
at
to
school.
many. 1, 2, 3, many,
Bond,
lots.
you have to click this 21 times. You just look down, Bond is taking off his boots.
Yeah, that was actually the A levels until about 1993, I think. Was it, they gave it the pen and...
The thing explodes, does not fucking kill anybody. However, the command center starts blowing up. At this point, James books it onto the satellite dish, and he and Alec have a sort of a roaring fight across it. Lots of like kicks, lots of punching. You see, like he actually draws blood, which might be first. Now
it's
that
pretty
I think
vicious.
About it. It's pretty.
My only note for this scene is aim down the sights, Alec. You could
no.
save us a lot of trouble here.
No.
He's just refusing to do anything but shoot from the hip. And you know what? Fair enough.
I mean, listen. I mean, he also got killed. He got like his death faked with a gun that immediately afterwards killed a guy. So
Yeah, that
I mean,
means
he
that
has kind of
Urumov
a
must have
cavalier
had-
attitude to firearms.
Urumov must have had one blank round.
blank only. Yes.
Yeah, and it's got to be the top one. And God, he must have trusted Urumov a hell of a lot.
A sort
I
of
mean, to be
Russian
fair, he
roulette,
could've-
if you would.
True. He could have just shot like beside Alec, right? He didn't have to have actually shot Alec.
I guess
True,
so.
true.
Yeah, I was merely deafened. Yeah. So at this point, we get like the classic bit, right? Which is the bit that kept me up nights before the inflating head bit from License to Kill kept me up nights. Because like Trevelyan ends up dangling off the satellite antenna above the dish, hundreds of feet below, and Bond catches him. And Trevelyan tries to taunt him again, and Bond's line is this.
For England, James?
No. For me.
You know what we call that? Growth. And also, unprovoked murder. He drops
That's murder.
Trevelyan
He's a girl boss
directly
now.
onto concrete, and we see him fall all the way down. We see him hit, and we see him afterwards bleeding out with like every single bone broken.
Still
It is
alive.
fucked. Still alive.
He should have popped open like a grape. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I got a note about this one, and it's the same note as I made about Necros, which is like, I understand why they do it, but I detest that they make the bad guys go out like little bitches every time. Like, there's nothing in Alec or Necros' characters that would suggest they would scream like that when they were falling, but both of them do, and I think that that's a deliberate choice. To be like,
absolutely.
You see, they were cowards all along, and it's
But,
like, I don't think they would.
Sort of a modern Hays Code sort of thing.
Natalia hijacks a helicopter pretty much off screen for no like not. I don't know.
Because it's cool.
Because it's cool. She fucking like flies next to the thing to pick Bond up. It's a lot like fucking Cloud City, actually.
Oh yeah, good point.
The backdrop is. I also made that exact remark that it looked like.
Yo, this shit looking mad Bespin.
Cloud City.
Detroit Cloud City. Bond jumps to the fucking helicopter, and then the antenna falls, crushing the still alive and screaming Alec beneath it. It's
you want to make sure
it's
he's
a
really dead.
violent death to portray on screen, and prolonged too.
He is very dead.
He's so fucking dead. Bitch made.
Also,
we weren't sure the last time with him. So
Boris is killed. He has this thing of when he wins something, he says, "I am invincible." He says, "I am invincible," having survived the explosion. Bunch of liquid nitrogen goes off behind him, and he is frozen into a cube. Which, fine.
I love that this movie is simultaneously too graphic in the bits I don't give a shit about, and then refuses to go far enough in the bits that would be fun. Like,
he doesn't
you
shatter.
don't freeze an entire motherfucker in liquid nitrogen and then not shatter him. But they do. They just freeze him and then they cut to the next scene, and I'm like, shatter him.
They replace him with fucking the same guy, but in all blue makeup and a bunch of like plastic icicles. Anyway,
I welcome Goldeneye, but I call on it to go further.
We now approach the funniest line in the movie, and it's in the dying seconds, right? Because Bond, so Bond and Natalia are like fucking in a field, and Bond is like, there's nobody around for like 25 miles. At this point, we find out that Jack Wade, Sheriff J.W. Pepper, has once again invaded Cuba with the U.S. Marine Corps. And they're there with fucking helicopters. They're there with a bunch of guys in ghillie suits.
The ghillie suit reveal is so fucking funny as the ground comes to life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking great. But then we get the single best line in the fucking movie. One that is essentially just looking into camera and saying 9/11 will never happen. Because offhandedly, remember they're in Cuba. Wade says,
This is so good.
They're kind of like they've been broken up mid-sex, and so he says,
maybe you two would like to finish debriefing each other at Guantanamo.
The implication is like you're both going to a prison now to be tortured the rest of your lives. Like that's the implication. He's like, well, the CIA is just gonna like torture you now for no reason.
Maybe you'd like to debrief each other at Guantanamo.
In Guantanamo.
I hooted. I hollered.
To be fair, we should probably explain what Guantanamo is because some of our listeners might not know what that is.
I hate that.
Obama did close it down. In my belief is that.
Yeah, we're definitely not in the middle of opening a second one or anything for migrants.
He made good on his promise to shut that one down.
Really getting into the sort of George W. Bush era leftism joke of waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds like a lot of fun if you don't know what either of those things are.
That's
the same Barack Obama who did not deport more people than any other president in history and definitely did not massively expand a program of drone warfare that killed a lot of civilians.
That's right, Abby.
I never learned to read.
We have a science-based system on this podcast.
We do, because that's the movie.
That's the movie, baby.
That's the movie,
baby. That's the golden eye.
We have,
as the saying goes, that's the golden eye.
The man with the golden eye. This having run long because it's the most ideological fucking Bond movie, and we couldn't not spend almost 2 hours talking about it. How could we
were
not?
Mainly talking about the horny, but we do have a science-based system. We call it the
science-based system.
That's the royal we, listener. I wasn't doing shit.
The SMARM, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, and misogyny.
That's right.
I think SMARM on this one is like a medium to high. He does have quite a lot of lines.
The fucking frequent flyer miles.
He whips it back out again. You know what? Dalton was a low SMARM Bond, but this motherfucker.
I would say like a 4 or a 5.
I'd say because I know it can get so much worse. I think it might be as low as a 4 because I think we've scored. I think we've scored Moors even at like 4. So that seems fair to me.
Yeah, Octopussy was a 4.
Yeah, I think it's on a level with Octopussy in terms of SMARM.
Do we agree?
To keep you in curry for a while. Racist asshole.
Cultural insensitivity.
Cultural insensitivity. Well, I mean, unless you really count like Russians and Scots are basically the same people, accents interchangeable. Pretty low. I mean,
racism against Nazi collaborator Cossacks, I feel like is on the level with like making fun of Italians. To me personally,
yeah, it's good.
Here's what I'll say. They're not racist to any people of color because guess what? There are no people of color in this entire
that's
fucking
true.
movie.
That's true. Is the erasure
goddamn one?
Is the erasure an insensitivity in itself, or is it better that they hadn't because we know they would have been more insensitive had they included them?
That's similar to our stance of Idris Elba shouldn't play Bond because no one should. I think it's still insensitive, but
you're right. You're right. It is weird that there aren't any. Okay, yeah.
And they go to Cuba.
They invade Cuba, which is
minority.
Arguably very, very culturally insensitive to invade a country.
Oh no, sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah. Let's say I don't know. Do you want to say like a 3 or 4, maybe?
Is that for just? Hard to say.
I think it would be a lower baseline because like 4 is over half because
you're right. Yeah, okay, fine.
We fucked ourselves by making this up to 7 because whenever we're thinking of a low number, we go to 4, and when we think of a high number, we go to 4.
Okay, so it's got to be like 2 or 3 then.
Yeah,
I'm happy for 2. How do we feel?
2,
I think
2. Okay.
I think a baseline level of exclusion is 2.
Now, meanwhile, blowing it out of the park on this one. Unprovoked violence.
Well, it's down from
Mattie,
the previous
you are holding
one.
up 7 fingers there.
Yeah, he drops the villain from a height of several hundred feet and then drops a satellite on him. And he explodes.
That's murder.
He shoots his way out of a base filled with people that are arguably his allies.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. He does kill a lot of people. Plus, like, there's genuinely a bit. There's a little bit in the tank scene where they try to like work around this, but like he does just drive the tank over an occupied cop car at one point.
He does.
Like,
yeah,
well, that
which is based, actually.
You can say that it's based, but it is still pretty unprovoked and violent to just kill,
it is
to just flatten two cops instantly.
How do we feel about a 6?
I think I could go to 6. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I don't think we're in the Craig years yet, because we know we have the sort of the signifiers of, you know, it isn't real violence. You know, the guns have infinity bullets, and you know we don't see many people get shot. But Alec Trevelyan going out like that, you know, boosts it way up there. So that for me, it's a 6.
And misogyny.
Well, I mean, there's. The fucking chase scene, right, where there's two kinds of women: wibbly English repressed women and like sexy dangerous women. That's pretty misogynistic.
He calls her dear.
The fucking a woman shit about M is pretty misogynistic.
Money,
and, like,
money, pennies, sexual harassment, but actually it's cool.
Just saying that it's misogynistic doesn't make it not misogynistic. So
yeah, it kind of tries to cheat.
Are you deducting points for the having cake, eating it factor? Or not?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't think we can weight them by hypocrisy, right? Because if we started doing that, they would be an 8 for every single category for every movie.
Unless you're Slavoj Žižek and you believe that disavowal is a key part of continuing the behavior. That's, I don't know. We're getting into the nitty-gritty here.
Bond is doing like Darvo shit. Yeah.
Please welcome the 5th host.
Bond is on Twitter complaining about how Moneypenny is like abusing and harassing him. So how do we feel? I think it's like pretty high. How do we feel about 5, 6? Want to go higher?
I think for the fact of having the way that they fucking treat a woman, 6. It's got to be 6, because it's like it like. The fucking Moore movies made a more cogent attempt to deal with feminism as a joke, right? Like, there's a bit where Roger Moore goes, "No, it's a women's lib. They're letting them do anything these days." And that's less fucking venomous than you're a misogynist dinosaur, 007, but also you're too based, so we can't fire you.
Are we in agreement for 6?
I hate that motherfucker. Yeah, okay.
I hate him so much, dude.
That brings us to a total of 18, which is pretty bang in the middle average for Bond. Pretty solid start.
Which is strange because it's not an average Bond movie.
No, it's exceptionally good, I think. It's my favorite.
It's very good. It's very interesting. There's a lot to sort of for us to talk about, which is why we're fucking not letting ourselves be edited for this one.
It's horny.
It's horny as shit. It talks about like England and Britain and its legacy specifically.
But the British betrayed them.
Themes.
It's got themes. It's got baby's first themes.
They really
You can
tried.
add a themes category. All the other movies get 0, and this gets a 7. And I call it the T scum. Nope.
No.
Sorry. Yeah, no.
Take us out, Alice. What are we doing next time?
No, we have 2 things we have to hand out.
Oh, okay.
I hate all school assemblies.
Kronstein rosette. We have a Kronstein rosette to hand out for
Full
an
colours.
unappreciated villain.
I want to nominate Uramov's driver, who really does his best.
He fucking yeah. He does.
We
He
don't know
does.
what happens to him either.
Gets crushed by a tank. I don't know.
Maybe Bond fucks him out of existence off screen.
I think that's the Goodnight Cross is Caroline, unnamed psychiatrist, for getting fucked off screen.
Wibbly Caroline.
Who makes a noise like?
She becomes the winner.
What about the admiral that Xenia fucks and kills?
Oh, he does go out like a king. Is the thing.
That's true. He was very appreciated.
He goes out smiling.
For what purpose are we handing out the Goodnight Cross?
Well, there's not many good guys who go above and beyond the call of duty.
No, Wibbly Wibbly
Okay,
Caroline.
wait. No, I have one, right? He's not technically a good character, but he is on Bond's side, right? And it's one of Zukovsky's goons, right? Because Zukovsky goes,
I know exactly who
goes
you mean.
rhetorically, do you know how long the fucking winter is in Russia? And one of his guys, brackets autistic, goes, well, really, it depends on the... And Zukovsky has to tell him to shut up. That guy gets the Goodnight Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. As long as we hand one out, I'm not going to argue with you about who. I will actually in the future.
That guy.
Give it to Q's Sandwich.
The guy who knows how long the winter lasts in Russia. That's our Goodnight Cross winner, boys. Thank you.
Oh my God. Do we have anything else to say about this movie?
No.
After 2 hours.
It rules. Thank you for watching
it rules. Matty, if the people want more Mattie Lubchansky content, where can they find you?
Yeah. In addition to my continuing assault on the Alice Caldwell Kelly Cinematic Universe podcast these last 2 weeks, you can find me on Twitter at Lubchansky. And you can find my book, The Antifa Super Soldier Cookbook, in stores or on Silver Sprocket's website.
Hell yeah. James Bond will return in Tomorrow Never Dies.
R.I.P. to you guys.
Do we have a guest lined up for that one, or is that... No, we don't have a guest for that one.
Unless we do.
For the last...
Watch this space. What if Rupert Murdoch was evil? Thank you for listening.
One lined up. We might have one by the time you listen to it.
We have been Kill James Bond. Here is our theme song.
Thank you for listening to the final episode of Kill James Bond. Now that all three of the hosts have been replaced by Mattie Lubchansky, we're going to try to find a way to continue going. We might sue them, or maybe the rights to publish under the name Kill James Bond. We'll see what our options are. We are talking to lawyers at the moment. But other than that, that was a wonderful episode. And if you'd like more wonderful episodes, you can head on over to our Patreon, where we upload bonus episodes on the interstitial weeks between the free feed releases. So, of course, in 2 weeks' time on the free feed, you will see Kill James Bond returning for Die Another Day, maybe? I don't actually know what the next Brosnan movie is. But next week on the Patreon, you will find our episode on the movie Ronin, starring an absolute fucking smorgasbord of wonderful actors. It's a truly fantastic film, and it is one of Alice's favorite films of all time, and she was very excited to make us watch it. So tune in for that. It's a great discussion. It's a great movie. But, of course, since I've mentioned Patreon, we would be nothing without our £15 and above patrons, and those are, of course, Fawkes Winchester, Jack Holmes, Paint McCalla, George Rohack, Thomas Oberhart, Sol, Xenia Onatopp, and in brackets, Thought-O-Erotic Asphyxiation, very nice, Nikki, Carolyn Tangersley, Benno Rice, Max Gaiman-Hart, Amanda Rugter, Kit Devine, Sydney Steckel, Holiday, Jay Martindale, Mothman, Jack Bushell, Kentucky Fried Commie, Field Commissar Jen, Big Titty Goth Girl, Trip, Timothy Pajoni, Tarp O, Larry Kins, Hell Bloodhands, Varat Sukit, Elizabeth Cox, Zoe Shepherd, Alfredo, Jonas Schwamberger, Avery Darling, Richard Drumrail, Leo David, Wikram Ratner, James Knappman, Robbie Morgan, Josh Simmons, Kinyu92, and Millie. This has been Kill James Bond. Our producer is Nate Bethay. Our podcast art, and indeed our guest this time, was Mattie Lubchansky. And our website is by Tom Allen. See ya.